Okay, let's take a look at how to create a select statement to retrieve data from a single table. So I'm not going to show this for future videos, but I just want to show you I'm opening up MySQL Workbench, and I can see my saved connection from before. If I needed to add a connection again, it's this plus sign. But I'm just going to click on that localhost connection that I created earlier, enter my password, and now it opens up MySQL Workbench. And we can see the tables on the left-hand side, and we can see an SQL window in the middle. If we don't, we can create a new one here. Get rid of some of these windows by going to File, New Query tab. Another way to do it is just to right-click on the table that you want to look at and select rows. So when I did that, it creates this query for us, which is a select statement. So what we're doing with this select statement is retrieving records from a single table. So a select statement is made up of clauses. The first two clauses we're going to learn about is the select clause and the from clause. So you can see that the keyword select is in all uppercase. That's not required, but it is a kind of an accepted best practice, I guess, in MySQL. So if I ran it with a lowercase select, it would still work the same. So it's a kind of a style preference, I guess. It doesn't really matter which one you do use for this class. Then we have following select is the items list. So if we look at the table, we can see, and you should know from that chapter 1 reading, that a table is made up of fields or columns and rows or records. So this is one row or record, and this is one field or column. So the select clause, the first clause here, allows us to specify an items list, and asterisk means give us all of the columns in the table. So if I wanted to just grab invoice ID, invoice number, and MySQL does give you a nice autocomplete there, invoice total, and payment total. I could do that just by specifying them in a comma-separated list. So here's the what we call the items list. So again, here's the select statement, the select clause, and next is the from clause. And the from clause specifies which table we're pulling from. And notice that we prefix invoices, which is the name of the table over here on the left. Notice that we prefix it with AP dot. AP is the name of the database. So we can get around that by saying use AP. Once we run that, then we don't need this AP.invoices any longer. But it's a good practice in the beginning. Just put that prefix in there. So anytime you have a database table specified, just prefix it with the name of the database dot. So that's it. That's a basic select statement. So if I wanted to grab everything from vendors, I can write that easily. Select. And this is the items list. I'm just going to put asterisks for all fields from and the name of the table. And this is going to work because I had that use statement. Better though to put AP.vendors. So this is all the data from AP.vendors. So that's the basic select statement. Now the select statement comes with other clauses as well. There's the select from where, which allows us to specify a condition to limit the number of rows or records, so that where the select clause limits the number of fields, the where clause limits the number of records. We'll take a look at that. There's order by, and that determines the output, the order that the output is going to be returned in, and limit, which would give us, just 3 records or 10 records, and we can specify where to start, which record to start with, and then how many to count from that record. We're going to look also at operators, so we can perform some arithmetic operations using the standard arithmetic operators. So we got minus, I'm sorry, that's not, so we have multiplication, division, modulus, addition, and subtraction. We'll also look at some functions. We can call functions just like we would in a program against the column. So a couple that we'll look at this week is CONCAT, which is concatenates values together, and we can have a list of values. So it's not just two values, but we can have 3, 5, however many values we want there. Round, we'll round a number to the nearest whole number. Left, if we want to just grab the left side of a string, we can send in how many characters we want. We'll also look at how to remove duplicates from our output using the keyword distinct. And yeah, so let's go through these. Okay, so first of all, let's do select with an order by. So now we have this select ID, invoice number, invoice total, payment total from invoices. Let's now order it by payment total. So if I say payment total, it's going to cut it off, isn't it? Okay, so here's the output for this statement right here. And you can either put your cursor right in the statement or select it and then hit Control Enter. It's a nice way to run it. And you can see now that it's ordered by payment total. And by default, it's ascending. And we can explicitly tell it whether we want ascending or descending order by saying order by, then the field that we want to order by, and then ascending or descending. So it'd be like ascending or descending. So now you can see it's in descending value, so the largest payment total comes first. And we can also add multiple columns. So if you saw in that first one there, the payment total is 0 for a lot of them. So let's order by payment total and then by invoice total. And let's do invoice total descending. So now we see who paid 0 and we see who owes the most in that order. So it's ordered by zeros first, and then it's ordered by this invoice total second. And it's just a comma separated list. You only put order by one time, then the name of the field, and then whether it's ascending or descending, and then have a comma, the next field, and then whether it's descending or ascending. So that's order by. We can also limit it to 3 records. So let's take a look at this one. So let's say limit three. It's only going to give us 3 records. If we set it for this one, let's say 10, it's only going to give us the first 10. So that's a limit. You can specify where to start in the limit. So maybe we say like start at record 12 and give us 3. So you can see it started at record number 12, which just happened to be auto-incremented IDs. And it gave us just 3 records. So limit allows you to return just a set number of records from the query. Okay, let's take a look at let's do field aliases. So field aliases. So with a field alias, we can rename a field. So I'm going to say as total. So now you can see in the result set that it's, if you click on it in MySQL Workbench, it sorts it for you. But what I want to show you is this alias. So as total, instead of outputting it as invoice total, it's showing it as total. So that's helpful if you want to add a shorter name or something. Here's another use for it. I'm going to take this limit out. Another use for it would be if we want to take, say for instance, now there is a field actually that calculates this already, so it doesn't, it's kind of unnecessary, but we could say we can use our arithmetic operator, the minus sign, and say invoice total minus payment total. And if we do that, you'll notice that the field name is not easy to use because it's basically spelling out exactly what the formula is. So we could give it a name then. So I'll say as owed. So now we have this this value owed, and we can use that field alias throughout our query then. So if I said order by owed descending, so we want to see who owes the most, which invoices is still owed the most. We can create this value, so we're using our arithmetic operator to create a value. We're giving it a field alias of as owed, and then we're going to order it by, and we're specifying that alias. So you can see owed is the alias. So we're saying order by and the alias name. If we want to show this as a rounded value, we could say round. And now you see it rounds it to the nearest whole number. If we just wanted to show, or let's say we want to make all of these invoice IDs the same length, what we could do is we could concat, and here's the concat. We could concat a bunch of spaces at the end. Oops, sorry, not spaces. Let's concat zeros at the end. Yeah. And then, if we want to make them the same size, we could say left four. So now you can see it's adding trailing zeros, which kind of makes it seem like it's a different value, but I don't think it matters in this case. We're not using an arithmetic formula. And then we can always add a field alias as ID. So there you go. It's kind of a way to create a constant. Here, let me put let left on invoice number so you can see it. So if I wanted just the first three of invoice number, you can see it gives just the first three characters. I'm going to take that out. Okay, I'm going to continue in the next video. This is getting pretty long, so yeah. So try out all the different pieces of the select statement. You can also use W3 Schools to practice it as well. All right, catch you in the next video for a little more on the select from the single table.